Hey everyone, it's Bob Perkins bringing you another AAISP Inside Sales Studio episode of the Monday Morning Sales Minute. I'm here with Peter Schirripa. Peter is the sales director at ZipRecruiter right here in Phoenix, Arizona. Peter, how are you?
Great, Bob. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. We spoke last week a little bit about the need for sales reps to consider moving into a leadership or management position, in part because we're growing so fast and there's lots of positions available. And so you're going to bring to the viewers here a 2-week series about some tips on how to prepare, what to do, what not to do when considering and really wanting to move into a leadership role. So go ahead and let's get us started today.
Yeah, that's right, Bob. And thanks again for having me. So this is going to be a 2-part series, and I've written an article a while back about 5 tips for individual contributors to best position themselves to become an inside sales manager. And as director here, part of my job is to find and hire talent into a management role, whether internally or externally. And I'd have to say that probably the most common conversation I have with reps, and arguably my favorite, is when they come to me with interest and say, Peter, I want to put time on your calendar. I'm interested in getting into leadership. So because I get that so often, I found 5 tips for them to really subscribe to put themselves in best position. And today we're going to go through 3 of those.
Great.
So the first one, Bob, is everybody wants the job. Not everybody wants to do the job. And I was actually given that advice, 7-8 years ago when I was an individual contributor. And I told my boss that I wanted to be a manager. And he asked me, do you know what that actually means? And I made the mistake then, as many reps do now, as they believe the position is very different than what it actually is. So I find that most reps, Bob, think it's the glorified pieces of it, whether it be building contests or celebrating success or the high fives or the steak dinners for top performers, when in reality, folks like you and myself know that it's kind of like an iceberg, right? They see that tip, but the bulk of it happens beneath the water that you don't really have visibility into. Right. So I always challenge reps, go out there and learn what the job actually entails. Watch your manager for a week. Go set up times with different managers and different departments and ask them questions like, what were you surprised about the role when you first got into it? Or what elements about the job were difficult for you? Or, what's part of the job that you don't enjoy? And usually what I'll find is they'll hear a lot about, the HR issues, the fact that they don't have nearly as much control over their income as they did when they were an individual contributor. The heavy reporting, a lot of the admin work. The common theme I hear is, man, I didn't realize how much admin work there is, whether it's filling out time cards or filling out Google Docs or updating reports. And what I come to find, Bob, is probably half of the reps that I recommend go meet with current managers to get an idea of what the job entails, actually decide after that it's not what they want.
It's a great screening idea there, or just kind of a filtering idea, because so many jump in, and you know what? A lot of managers kind of hire quick too, and don't go that route and find out later that maybe it wasn't the best fit.
Totally. And it's a good segue to tip number 2. And what I say there is, okay, once you figure out what the job entails, and if you're still interested, your job now is to do the job before you have the job. And I don't mean taking care of the HR work or doing the reporting that the manager is responsible to do, but there's a lot of elements that they can begin to get comfortable with before they're actually in the role. So first one is training. I always say that our inside sales managers need to be the best trainers. And a rep can begin to build content, to deliver content, to train their team. If that training's successful, to train other teams. And if they can show a correlation between what they train and a lift in performance, that's going to put them in better position to be prepared to be a manager.
Great.
The next one is onboarding reps. We here at Zip, each month we have new hire classes of anywhere from 8 to 15. And, each month after they graduate from our onboarding program, they get assigned to a team and they need to be onboarded, right? They need to be trained. They need to some extent, have their hand held. They need to be walked through the ins and outs of everything we expect. And if a rep is interested in becoming a manager, why not take a big part of that onboarding piece off of their current manager?
That's really good. And the reps, I always tell reps, don't do status quo, right? Raise your hand. Hey, I'd like to be considered to be a mentor, a peer, a point of contact for a new hire, right? So be proactive and seek those opportunities out.
Totally. And, we don't have a formal mentor program, but that's actually exciting because it gives reps the ability to unofficially become a mentor.
Right.
And myself as a director, that's what I look for. I want to see reps on the floor, not who can just themselves be successful, but can they train their skill set or best practices to one other rep or two other rep or three other reps? Because the reality is when you become an inside sales manager, now you have to make 10, 12, 15 people great, not just yourself.
Right. Those are three really good tips. I think everyone that thinks they might want to get into management, go look at some managers. Great tip number one: observe, ask questions, see if you really want to get to it. Because we know, you and I know, when you get into a leadership role, it all changes. It's not about you anymore at all. It's about the team and the team's health and success. So, Peter, I'm coming out to ZipRecruiter. We're going to go live, I think, in your facility, and we'll film week number 2.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and we'll see you and everyone else for part number 2. Thanks for watching. Peter, thanks for sharing, everyone. Good selling and good leading.
Thanks, Bob.